What up, guys? Today I'm going to take a little bit of different direction to my videos. Usually I'll just talk about updates, what I've been doing to them, but I'm going to start doing like how-to videos. Alright, first, disclaimer. I am by no means an expert, um, and by no means should my should you take my word, but just what's worked for me, what I've read has worked, and it's just kind of like more or less opinionated, but still nonetheless like a how-to. All right, today talk about our favorite thing in the aquarium hobby, which would be ick, whether it's freshwater or saltwater. Both types of water can get ick. All right, I'm gonna talk about three methods into treating it or curing it, and the first method is not so much a treatment, but more or less a prevention and introducing it to your main tank, and that'd be quarantine your fish. Now, in the past, I did used to quarantine my fish. I don't do it anymore, just because I really don't have any fish over $10. I don't have any really expensive fish, so it's not really worth it to me to set up a quarantine tank for $2 fish. But nonetheless, quarantine would be your best route to take, just so you don't introduce it to the rest of your tank in case one of your fish does come down with ick. Um, and another thing with quarantine, I know my fish store does it. I'm not sure if your guys' fish stores will do it, but they'll actually have set up quarantine tanks or hospital tanks in case you bring home a fish, it gets sick. You can always take it back there, and they'll try treating it. And if you bought it there, usually you'll get some sort of credit in return in case it doesn't make it. All right. First off, what causes ick. I can't list every reason out there, but from what I've experienced, when I have gotten ick in my tanks, it was caused by stress on the fish, and that'd be from either the transportation. It was a sick fish to begin with, and I didn't do a good selection when picking it, or it didn't adapt to the water perfectly, and it stressed it out. Like I know like temperature change could be a big stressor on the fish, which could result in ick. Which I believe it in this recent outbreak of ick that I've gotten, it was because the fish didn't adjust to the temperature very well. So two of my fish did get ick. All right. See, lost my train of thought. How to treat it. All right. We talked about quarantine. It's more of a preventative method. But if you do quarantine a fish and it does get ick, there's a couple ways to treat it. All right. The first way, and I've had success with this before, would be this stuff right here, Riddick Plus. What I've experienced with it, it did work extremely well for me, but there's a huge downside to it. Whether or not it's reef safe, I'm not going to say. I would not recommend putting it in a reef tank, nor would I recommend putting it in a planted tank. And it does stain your decorations, so if you're going to use Riddick, I'd advise you, to have a quarantine tank set up with nothing that you're too concerned about getting stained, because it's blue in color and it stains stuff. So when I've used it in the past, I had quarantine tanks set up, so I would just put it in there and it stained the hell out of my quarantine tanks, but it worked really good. Also, it says that it's invertebrate safe. I wouldn't trust it. The ingredients in it will kill your invertebrates. Let's see. Not even sure what it says that it has in there, but I would not use any ick treatments whatsoever on any invertebrates, because more than likely it's going to kill them. Alright, another method would be aquarium salt. I've never used aquarium salt. I have it, never used it. I'm not going to go into how to use it to treat ick, but from what I've heard, it works. What you do is you heat up your water and then you dissolve whatever recommended amount of aquarium salt in tank water before adding it to your main tank. And from what I've heard, that works pretty well. So if you want to go that route, I'd recommend reading into it. The only downside is you can't use aquarium salt in planted tanks. Obviously, that's for freshwater fish. That's freshwater aquarium salt. You don't want to use it in planted tanks. Your plants aren't very tolerant of aquarium salt or any salt whatsoever. So I wouldn't use it in an aquarium with plants in it. So same thing, I'd recommend setting up a quarantine tank. Alright, now the method that I use, it was a little bit slower, but after 4 days, I don't see any ick in my tank, so I think it's working. What I did was, over 4 days, I heated up my tank 2 degrees higher. Usually, my tank runs about 78. Now it's a little over 80. So, heated the tank up, and what that does is the heat, it won't kill the ick, but what it does is it speeds up the life stages, so the ick itself will become free swimming, and then from there, if it doesn't find another fish to host, I want to say like within 24 hours, don't take my word for it, look it up, but within 24 hours, if the ick in the free floating or swimming stage doesn't find another fish to host, it'll just die off on its own. And also, UV sterilizers, it will kill your ick. It's not going to suck the ick off your fish, so don't think throwing a UV sterilizer in there will, suck the ick off the fish. But when you heat your tank up, and then the ick goes in that free floating stage in its life cycle, if it gets sucked up into the UV sterilizer, it will kill your ick. So yeah, those are just a few methods from what I've experienced or what I've read on how to treat ick. Ick happens. You could have the healthiest tank and all your fish could get ick, or you could have the worst tank and you never see ick. It's very unpredictable, and it happens. So the main thing that you want to do with any fish is quarantine them. Check with your fish store. They should quarantine them in the first place before you buy them. Make sure you inspect them, make sure they don't have ick already, and then when you bring them home, set up a quarantine tank, or throw them in one that you already have set up, and just monitor them for a week or 2 weeks, just to ensure that it doesn't happen. But yeah, those are the methods that I use. Good luck. Enjoy.